Welcome to Spiritual Foundations for Life. This is day number 250. Isaiah chapter 14 verses 1 to 23 contains a prophecy about a man named Sennacherib, who proclaimed himself king after conquering Babylon, according to Isaiah chapter 14 verse 4. Although he was mighty and able to inflict suffering and turmoil on his subjects, according to Isaiah chapter 14, verse 3, Isaiah prophesied that he would be brought down to the grave and mocked, according to Isaiah chapter 14, verses 9 to 11. This passage refers to the king of Babylon, but the church has also considered these verses that follow as a prophecy about the fall of Lucifer. Lucifer is Latin for morning star, and he is called that in Isaiah chapter 14 verse 12. Lucifer is the symbolic representation of the king of Babylon in his pride, his splendor, and his fall. Satan is the head of this present world system and the invisible power behind the successive world rulers of Tyre and Babylon and Persia and Greece and Rome. Well, this passage in Isaiah goes beyond human history and marks the beginning of sin in the universe and in the fall of Satan. The rule of Satan is not confined to his own person. All those who are dead in their transgressions and sins follow him, whether they know it or not. Ephesians chapter 2 verse 2 says that the unsaved followed the ways of this world and of the ruler of the kingdom of the air, the spirit who is now at work in those who are disobedient. Satan operates his kingdom through a hierarchy of evil spirits and the unsaved people. In the same way, the rule of God is not confined to his own person. Jesus said in John chapter 14, verse 12, "Truly I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater works than these, because I'm going to the Father." As long as Jesus remained on the earth, his kingdom was confined to himself. However, after being glorified, the Holy Spirit is now present in every believer, and as believers, we will do greater things than Christ because his presence is now manifested all over the world through our lives. God rules his kingdom through ministering angels and through the lives of his children who are filled by the Holy Spirit. Lucifer, who became Satan, was caught up in his own beauty, and he challenged the throne of God. He expressed his pride by saying 5 times, "I will," in Isaiah chapter 14, verses 13 and 14. But he was only a light bearer. He was not the source of light. And as a created being, Lucifer could only reflect the glory of God. His pride and rebellion resulted in his expulsion from heaven. Now he is totally devoid of light. Satan is not some shady character who's naughty at times. He is the essence of evil and the total absence of anything good. In contrast, according to 1 John chapter 1 verse 5, God is light, and in him there is no darkness at all. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 18 says that at one time we were darkened in our understanding and separated from the life of God. But then came Jesus. And according to John chapter 1 verse 4, in him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. Ephesians chapter 5 verses 8 and 9 says, "For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. So live as children of light, for the fruit of the light consists in all goodness and righteousness and truth." We must not look lightly on the little rebellion and on a little bit of pride. King Saul did that, and just like Lucifer, he lost his privileged position. 1 Samuel chapter 15 verse 23 says this about Saul: "For rebellion is like the sin of divination," or the occultism, "and arrogance is like the evil of idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of the Lord, he has rejected you as king." You know, if we're wise people of God, we're going to rid ourselves of all pride from our lives and all rebellion. Our key point today is that pride comes before a fall, and rebellion is as the sin of divination. Ephesians chapter 2, our key verse, Ephesians chapter 2, verses 1 and 2. For as for you, you were dead in your transgressions and sins in which you used to live when you followed the ways of this world and of the ruler of the kingdom of the air, the spirit who is now at work in those who are disobedient. Wow, let's rid ourselves of disobedience and follow the one true God. God bless you. See you tomorrow for another episode of Spiritual Foundations for Life.